Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Streaming December 12th on Peacock. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are back
That's hot. Loves it.
for a show-stopping reunion that will prove putting on an opera is anything but simple.
We're really good at this.
One thing's for sure, they won't be upstaged.
Good to have you back. Come on, we've got a show to do.
Paris and Nicole, The Encore, a 3-part reunion special, streaming December 12th, only on Peacock.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what Legends about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast that reaches from beyond the grave to make good men our wicked slaves. That's a lie, we don't want men. From the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who have been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. And here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. And we want to remind you all about our Season 5 Patreon campaign. You can join at bit.ly/lespatreon. If we hit 150 patrons, we will start releasing bonus episodes for all of you, so we cannot wait.
We also have a lot of exciting events coming up still. As a reminder, there's only a few weeks left until the spookiest of times, Halloween.
Gay
And
Christmas.
we want to make sure that you are so ready with some spooky queer trivia. So we are going to have our next trivia night. We have 2 editions again. So we have one on October 26th, one on October 30th. Same question set, so make sure you just pick which time is the best for you. But we are going to have questions about all of our favorite spooky queer shows and movies, and you do not want to miss it. We're excited.
Cannot wait. We also have Orphan Black trivia with Realm on November 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. We are so excited. Orphan Black is just the best, and we have so many great questions for you, including some questions about Realm's Orphan Black podcast, Season 1, that we'll be asking during the trivia.
And then if you were sick of us after those 2 events, like too damn bad, because we're not done yet. We love a couple things, like musicals, and also our friends at Bad Queers. And so we are going to be getting together to watch Rent and then dissect our feelings about it in a live episode, joint episode with Bad Queers on Zoom that you can all come and watch. And we are so pumped
Can't wait
to do this. It's just going to be bonkers. It's going to be bonkers. I know it. That's going to be on November 10th. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And you should, just make sure you're there. That's all.
I can't wait. Lee, do you want to say this next thing about This Week in the Lesdom? Because I know you're really excited about it.
Listen, this week in the Lesdom, Lee's baby gay heart exploded and grew 3 sizes that day as I got to watch JoJo Siwa dressed like freaking Prince Charming dancing with another woman on national television on Dancing with the Stars to A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, and it just made me feel a lot of things, and I just want to talk about it a little bit, okay?
Gay dreams really do come true.
Oh my god. Listen, anyone who was like a little gay like I was, who used to watch Disney movies and constantly be like, but why do I wish I was the prince?
Oh,
all
now
the
you
time.
can be the prince.
Like, can you imagine how much less confused I could have been to see? Because here's what I love about it. And I mean, first of all, as someone who was like, I guess JoJo Siwa came out and I just didn't really know who she was or anything when she came out earlier this year, I watched like one episode. I caught the first episode of Dancing with the Stars this season. I have never watched the show. And I was like, wow, I would do a violence for JoJo Siwa. Like, hardcore would like just defend this girl with my life because she's a joy. I love what she's doing. I love that she is so vocal about why she's doing it and just constantly, like, that first episode, she was like, just think about how many, like, little queer people's lives we can make better by doing this. And I was like, oh my God, I love you. The sheer gay joy that she goes out and exudes every single week, and the sheer gay joy that she went out and exuded this week, and it was the first time because she's been in dresses like the whole show so far, and she came out this week in this still very feminine but like obviously being Prince Charming outfit with a just like 10,000 megawatt smile on her face, twirling this beautiful woman in her little Cinderella dress all around the dance floor. And I was just like, wow, this is incredible. This is incredible. So listen, shout out to JoJo Siwa. I would do a violence for her, as should we all. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm here for it. You know who else I would do violence for?
Oh my God, I know who.
Jasmine Savoy Brown.
We would all do a violence.
We would all
for
do a violence
as
for Jasmine
well.
Savoy Brown. The Scream trailer, Scream 5 just came out. We are so happy to see Jasmine in the Scream trailer. She is also playing a queer character, so we love that for her. You can check out all of her thoughts on that at New Now Next on Logo, where she talks about being able to play a Black queer character because that is who she is.
And if you just want to maybe catch Jasmine playing like a queer Black character in, you know, something like a podcast musical and you haven't checked out The Flame, you know, like how crazy is it going to be to go to the movies and see Jasmine? Like,
I'm going to freak out to see her.
It's going to be weird, right?
Yeah,
it's going to be insane.
It's going to be very, very cool. I'm like, that's my friend.
So anyways, we love you, Jasmine. We're very excited.
Very, very
excited
happy
about
for you.
Scream, as everyone else should be as well. And the last thing we want to let you know in the Greater Lez universe this week is, so I'll be upfront. I have not seen the show. It's called The Morning Show.
Oh, I haven't seen the show at all, but I've seen this clip.
I've seen this clip a number of times because I also feel like it feels like it's dating us in a certain way, but I'm like, if you had told me like even a decade ago that like I would watch Juliana Margulies and Reese Witherspoon kiss on like a major show, I would not have believed you.
Oh,
right?
I would have a pretty big heart attack. And here we are.
And yet here we are in the gay year of our Lord 2021 like I feel like I woke up one morning and went online and that was the only thing happening. The only thing on Twitter was just every single person on the internet reposting the video of this kiss. So I don't know why they're kissing. I don't know what's happening. I feel like it's probably going to be toxic, but I'm here for it anyways.
I'm so here for it. Thank you, Reese and Juliana. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 4, our first Lez-ssentials of Season 5.
And we're
Can you
very
believe it, Ellie?
excited. We're very excited about this particular Lez-ssentials. So exciting. Lez-ssentials is a recurring segment on the show where we dive into classic lesbian movies or shows or new lesbian movies or shows. There's been so much new content lately. Very exciting.
And as a reminder, we are writing and recording original songs for every Lez-ssentials. And this one, you'll catch it at the end of the episode. It is called Run for Your Life.
It slaps.
And we're very excited about it.
And for this Lez-ssentials, we're talking about the 2021 trilogy of our dreams and nightmares, Fear Street.
Just dreams. What are you talking about? What
I
nightmares?
get really scared, Lee. I've been scared since I started watching this. I'm happy that I did, but it's like I get so conflicted. I'm like, I'm terrified and excited.
That's fair. That's fair. So, Fear Street horror trilogy. It is based on the old school books by R.L. Stine. Did you ever read any of the books, Ellie?
I did not. I read Goosebumps, but I don't think I ever read the Fear Street.
Fear Street? Yeah. Oh, this was I did. I remember reading them. So this was like a fun throwback to like, I remember being scared of those more so than this, which is funny in hindsight because I don't think the books are actually all that scary if you go back. But yeah, based on R.L. Stine and the movies themselves, I love this because also you don't see a lot of like Lees out there.
I know, right?
There's not a lot of Leigh
I feel
Lees
like you have
out
a
there.
very
So
personal connection to this.
I feel like basically I'm responsible for these movies, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
So they were directed by Lee Janiak and the story by Lee Janiak, Kyle Killen, and Phil Graziade.
Yes, and I felt like that was important to say because it's an adaptation. Since we've been doing some should have been gays that were written by men or directed by men, and you're like, let me just see who's working behind the scenes. So great that we have a woman director, and it seems that
Yes.
Lee
Lee
also
I love
had
it.
a say in the story as well. So even though we do still have two other men who are helping write the story, I feel like Lee is the puppet master here, and I'm excited about that.
We are going to have very few complaints about these movies.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. We're obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm going to speak for myself. I'm obsessed. So
I love them.
They're perfect. So let's dig in. I'm going to read the IMDb synopses just so that we can see how IMDb did on these. And then we'll go through we'll do our best to go through a quick plot recap of all three movies. Hard. Pray for us.
So hard.
So starting with IMDb synopsis for Fear Street 1994. A circle of teenage friends accidentally encounter the ancient evil responsible for a series of brutal murders that have plagued their town for over 300 years. Welcome to Shadyside.
Welcome to Shadyside. Do you want me to do 1978?
Yeah, do it. Do you want to? You almost never get to do the IMDb
I know,
recaps.
I'm so excited. All right, here's our one for 1978. Shadyside, 1978. School's out for the summer, and the activities at Camp Nightwing are about to begin. But when another Shadysider is possessed with the urge to kill, the fun in the sun becomes a gruesome fight for survival.
Amazing. And rounding us out, Fear Street 1666. The origins of Sarah Fear's curse are finally revealed as history comes full circle on a night that changes the lives of Shadysiders forever.
Honestly, really intense IMDb synopses that I actually sort of like.
Yeah, I'm kind of here for them. I'll be honest.
Surprising because we never like them.
The only criticism I have of the IMDb synopses, not a single mention of Dina or Sam or any other big old lesbian in this trilogy.
Well, they did mention Sarah Fear.
That's true.
Who is a big
Sarah
old
Fear
lesbian?
Who is a big old lesbian? Who isn't?
We'll get.
Listen.
Who
isn't?
Isn't? I mean, that's why this is a Lez-ssential, because there are a lot of lesbians in this. There are a lot of queer women.
It is chock full. Chock full of lesbians.
They're everywhere. So should we try our best to do a plot recap? Okay, so
I believe in us.
I'll try to start with 1994. All right.
Scene 1, opening credits.
Oh my God. I will say, okay, so before we started this, I literally wrote down 3 things. These are, I think, the 3 main points of 1994. Anyone on Twitter, tell me what else you think are the 3 main points. For me, 1994 is Skull Mask, Sam Sees the Witch, Dina and Sam Forever. That's the plot of 1994. But if we want to do like a general plot recap, I can go more in depth.
Here's the only reason that I want to talk about the plot just a little bit more is because I have talked to, you're not the only one, Ellie, who is afraid of horror movies. I've talked to a lot of people who I cannot convince to watch this movie or this trilogy because they're scared. And so I just feel like we should at least give a little bit of a walkthrough for anyone who maybe is too, nervous to watch the whole trilogy, but maybe wants to understand a little bit about why we are going to have so many strong feelings about it. Okay?
Understandable.
So 1994, maybe I'll start us out in 1994, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to hit the big plot points. 1994, we learn through an opening murder scene that Shadyside has a history of murders. Every few years, some random Shadysider just kind of snaps, goes on a murder spree, and this just keeps happening over and over again. And we also meet the one, the only.
Dina. Baby Dina.
Baby Dina.
Baby lesbian with so much angst.
So gay and has just broken up with her girlfriend Sam because Sam moved to Sunnyvale, which is the bright and shiny and happy counterpart to Shadyside, where nobody ever murders at all.
Classic. And
Just-
also, like, right, nobody murders, but also, like, Shadyside is poor. Sunnyvale is wealthy. Like, there's just, like,
Yeah.
mansions and huge houses, and, like, everyone's happy and free, and Shadyside is, like, drug-filled and crime-filled, and we don't need to get too much into the analysis, but add this to the analysis because I want to talk about the economics that are discussed. Like, yeah, later.
It reminds me of how it's kind of like the horror movie equivalent of like Pawnee and Eagleton and Parks and Rec.
Yes.
It's like that.
It's like
that, but with murder.
But with murders, yeah, with murders.
It's like take away Leslie Knope and replace it with serial killers, and like that's what you have.
Yes.
So we learn about all of that, but then we also, something kind of happens where like Dina maybe accidentally causes like a car accident with the car that Sam's in. Sam is like crawling around in this like, moss everywhere and has these weird visions, and then suddenly is being chased by a whole bunch of ghosts.
Yep.
A lot of ghosts want to kill Sam. In the meantime, they kill a whole lot of other people.
A lot of other people, yes.
Like a lot of people. But what we end up with is this collection of, we have Dina, we have her brother Josh, we have her best friends, Kate and Simon, who also love them.
True.
R.I.P.
I know.
Love them.
R.I.P. Kate and Simon. We love them.
R.I.P. Kate and Simon. I'm so sorry. But they basically form this whole little group that is trying to keep Sam alive. They realize, like, they learn some things. Like, it's Sam's blood that all the ghosts are after. And so anyone who, like, got Sam's blood on them is why other people keep getting murdered and all this stuff. So we're building some lore of the world they're in. We're learning about some more of the ghosts. Like, the first ghost who comes after them is the ghost that we saw in the opening scene, who is wearing this skull mask. And we meet the ghost of Ruby Lane, who sings this real creepy song.
You always hurt the one you love. Is that what it is? Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Creepy.
She's fun.
Creepy, but also hot. I get it.
Also,
Simon has a thing for her, which I understand.
Simon's not wrong, but she also might kill you with a razor blade. So, like,
be careful.
Pick your poison, I guess. We meet Nightwing Killer, who has a fun sack over his face and just wants to kill you with an axe. Just like all the hot hitters of Shadyside murders.
Yep, the big ones
of the past.
The big ones from the past 300 years. You know what I realized?
It's a who's who of murderers.
Is Cyrus not one of them?
We don't see Cyrus, at least. He's not one of the ones who seems to come back. I mean, there's, if you look at the history of the murders, there should be like 60, 70 people over the years. So, like, we're missing a few. We kind of only get a handful.
Yeah, there should definitely be more, but I think maybe it was just a casting thing. They had to pick.
It's a casting thing, or I feel like it might also be, I'm wondering if in the lore of the movie, it seems like it's the most recent ones, like the more recent ones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Because we start with, like, Skullface, and then we have Nightwing, and then we have Ruby, and then we have whoever the Milkman, and then the weird scary kid or something. Oh, that's why. We'll talk about it when we get to 1978, because that's when the kid shows up. So that's what I think. I think it might be like a climbing your way back through time kind of deal. So anyways, there's lots of murderers. They're all trying to kill Sam. Everyone's just trying to stay alive. It is your classic, like, jump scare / gore horror film with like a pounding 90s soundtrack and a lot of like jump scares, and there's like someone running across the back of the screen with a big like blah like sound to scare you and stuff. It's great. It's a lot of good fun until everyone dies.
Yeah, a lot of jump scares, a lot of gore, like someone gets their head in a bread slicer. That really got me.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so gory. But they try a lot of things. They realize they can't kill the ghosts. They don't know what they're going to do. They find a clue, and the clue comes in the form of Josh. Josh is obsessed with the history of these murders in the town, and he realizes that the previous murder, the Nightwing murders at Camp Nightwing, that there was a survivor who also saw Sarah Fear.
Yep.
So
C.
they
Berman.
think Sarah Fear, C. Berman, saw Sarah Fear and yet survived, but only because she technically died the night of the massacre. And so they think if they can kill Sam but bring her back to life, that they can
Break
end
the witch's curse.
break her hold on Sam, and so that is their whole plan: is keep Sam alive long enough to kill her.
Yep.
And bring her back. But it's beautiful. Dina and Sam are everything together. Love them so much.
I mean, should we talk about Dina and Sam's love story? So
not yet.
You want to talk about it as a whole?
I want to get through everything and then like really dig in because I'm never gonna stop.
Okay.
And because it's hard for me to talk about Dina and Sam without getting into stuff that's in the other movies.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, there's plenty of things that happen with Dina and Sam besides like, oh,
I know.
There's
so many.
Dina kills Sam and brings Sam back to life. And they were broken up at the beginning. They get back together in the middle of 1994.
They're like, let's hook up over here. Let's hook up over
everywhere.
There.
Blah, blah, blah. So in terms of their relationship, that's all else. I just want to say, like, they were not together at the beginning, together in the middle. Dina kills Sam, brings Sam back to life. That's where we're at the end of 1994.
Yes. Simon and Kate, sadly, both do not survive the first movie. R.I.P. They were great. Love them. Also, I feel like both bisexual, but like, let's talk about that later as well.
But later.
So they do kill Sam, bring Sam back to life. And you think, yay, they've avoided the curse. They're all in the clear now. Everything's fine. Except everything is not fine because Sam seems hella possessed.
Yep.
Very possessed. And just in time that she is possessed is when Dina gets a phone call from one C. Berman. C. Berman, who reaches out to say, you think it's over. It is not over. As Sam plunges a knife into Dina's abdomen. No good. And that's where we end 1994. Do you want to do a quick walkthrough of 78 for us?
I'll do my best. All right, 1978.
I believe in you.
So that brings us to 1978. So we meet up with C. Berman, and we find, C. Berman was at the Nightwing Massacre. So then we're brought back to 1978. At Camp Nightwing, we see that C. Berman says, my sister died in the Nightwing Massacre. So you see this flashback. You have Ziggy, who is the younger of the two Bermans. And her whole thing is that, like, she's crazy and nobody likes her because she's a weird...
I'm a rebel and a freak and I'm misunderstood.
Yeah, she's a weird rebel, but she's awesome.
I read Stephen King books and I have red hair.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also like, really playing into the gingers are weird thing, which... Not a fan, but it's okay. And then you have Cindy Berman, who is the older of the two. And she is a camp counselor. She is like straight-laced. She has her boyfriend, Tommy. She's a virgin and she's like so sweet and pure and she's going to get out of Shady Side. We find out as we're going through that Tommy is our next murderer. We have Ruby Lane's mother who's there. She tries to prevent Tommy from killing everyone. She tries to kill Tommy to stop him from killing everyone. Doesn't work.
Which, like, shout out to Nurse Lane, though, right?
Nurse Lane was really trying to stop.
Nurse Lane was like, I'm just gonna, like, straight up try to murder this teenage boy right now. And you're like, yeah. If only you had succeeded.
If she had succeeded, it would have been better. But to be fair, we know what happens in the rest of the movies. Someone else would have gone psycho. But either way, she was doing her best. So we're also finding out like more about the lore too, right? Of like Tommy's name is on this like slab in this like creepy basement cavern that seems to have been there since Sarah Fear times, right? So we think that
it's a creepy devil ritual cave. That's what it is.
Creepy devil ritual cave. There's the names of every single Shady Side killer before Tommy are all on this wall. And Cindy, Alice's boyfriend, and Tommy find this cave. once they find the cave, Tommy goes psycho and kills Alice's boyfriend. And then Cindy and Alice are basically together for this entire movie, exploring the caves, finding some new information about Sarah Fear and these creepy caves, which we'll talk about later because Cindy and Alice are gay. Meanwhile,
Arnie. His name is Arnie.
Tommy kills Arnie. Tommy also kills a bunch of other people. Like a lot.
Tommy hacks up a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
Let's put it that
horrible. We learn more about Nick Good, who is the sheriff in 1994. He has a crush on Ziggy. So there's like this whole love story between the two of them where they're like trying to survive, but also kissing. And Nick is trying to save everyone at the camp, trying to get as many people out as possible.
Nick Good is like the embodiment of, you know, when you see dudes now who are like, I just like cancel culture is just so hard. And like white men are just like really not understood. That's like Nick Good for me in this movie. Is he's like, it's just so hard being like the preppy rich white boy who's like gonna take over all of the responsibility of being sheriff and running the town of Sunnyvale because, like, no one understands how hard my life is. And, like, I'm just in love with the redhead and that makes me so cool and different.
Yes, you're right. But also, we know what happens in 1666, so I'm, like, not spoiling 1666
Yeah, but even
yet,
before we knew, I still was just, like, not into it.
I know. I mean, he's very much like, there's so much weight on my shoulders and it's hard.
I've read Stephen King too.
Yeah.
I'm literate.
Yeah. All I want to do is like have a crush on that weird girl who's like not even that weird. That annoys me, but whatever. So we have this whole thing with Nick Good. He's like supposedly our hero in 1978. Gets everyone out on the bus. There's a few other things. I'm like, there's a few other things that happen before the end, which is that Cindy and Alice find Sarah Fear's hand.
Yeah,
and so there's this whole thing about how if you reunite the hand with the body, you'll end the curse. Like that's like the lore, right? And so they're like, oh my God, we have to end this curse. Let's reunite the hand with the body. And so they're like running to get there. Alice gets murdered on the way. They find Ziggy too. So it's like Ziggy and Cindy are running towards the middle of Camp Nightwing towards this big tree, which is Sarah Fear's hanging tree, to reunite the hand with the body. And they find that the body is not there. It just says the witch lives forever or something, right?
The witch forever lives on a rock that is buried under that tree.
Yes. And then Cindy and Ziggy get hacked up. They're both dead. And then Nick comes and gives Ziggy mouth to mouth, revives her, and we find out Ziggy is C. Berman, not Cindy. We thought it was
the twist.
We thought it was Cindy the whole time, but her name is really Christine. Oh, also, sorry, Ziggy saw Sarah Fear, right? She had blood on her hands. She touched the dirt where Sarah was supposedly buried, right? And she starts seeing the same visions that we.
Well, no, it's because she bled on the hand, right?
Oh yeah, she bled on the hand.
Yeah.
And Sam bled on the bones, on the body.
Yes.
Yeah. Either way, she sees the visions of Sarah Fear. She's like, Nick, you have to believe me. I saw the witch. And he's like, I don't believe you. You're crazy. And that's the end of it. Ziggy and Nick part ways because Ziggy's like, I thought Nick was different, but really he's just a Sunnyvaler. That's the end of 1978, correct?
It's almost the end of 1978. What happens is they decide to reunite the hand with the body. And so they go and dig up the hand because they know the hand was by the hanging tree, which it turns out is in the center of the mall, of course.
Of course.
So they go dig up the hand, and Dina goes to finally reunite Sarah Fear's remains, brings the hand to the body that Sam found, and she like reunites them and then looks up with this like flashbacky, like gets transported back to 1666, and that's where we kick off
1666. All right, you're gonna do it.
I'm gonna try. Okay,
here we go.
So 1666 is told with fabulous accents.
Those accents, I'm sorry. That was the only thing. Like, great, but like, why? The accents were so bad. But
because it's old-timey, and now you can tell them apart. So
it's old-timey,
basically,
but they were Scottish. Like,
well, I don't know. Where did people come from in 1666?
It was not the right accents. But it's okay. All right, continue.
1666, what happens is we basically get this recasting of time. So we are meant to believe that all of these people are like their, ancestors or the, original settlers of Union, which was the town that grew into both Sunnyvale and Shadyside. And so all of these characters are now being played by the actors from all of the other roles. So like, hey Dina, hey Josh, hey Cindy and Ziggy, hey Kate and Simon. We got everyone. Hey Sheriff Good. All the, fun, familiar faces, which like I do kind of like. I like that you get to see people like playing different roles, and I think it's fun, and it kind of like helps tie all of it together,
The one actor that I'll say was the best was Mad Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas was great.
That's all. Tommy from
A+
from
work,
1978
Tommy.
turns into the town drunk in 1666 and does a great job. That's all. Great actor.
He was great. So what you have is the story of Sarah Fear experienced by Dina. And so Dina basically like travels back to this vision of the 1666 Union where she gets to see Sarah, like birthing piglets and going through town and meeting the pastor's daughter, Hannah Miller, who is the same actress who plays Sam, and you immediately pick up on like just
some vibes.
Just vibes. Vibes between the two of them. And what I love about the 1666 movie is like they don't waste a lot of time either with like it's the night of a full moon. All of the, town youths are gonna go out drinking at night, and they're gonna like take some hallucinogenic berries, and they're gonna like have a good old time in the woods after dark, which like A+ kids
It sounds
have
like
fun.
a great time.
But here's the problem. Ellie, don't you hate it when you just like decide to rail your girlfriend on some rocks in the woods and it's like the same night that someone makes a deal with the devil?
The worst.
Like the worst.
Bad
so
timing.
inconvenient.
Very bad
the
timing
really sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have Sarah and Hannah are like, I love them. I love them.
We'll talk about that. To be like, I also was cracking up. So I'm watching this with my girlfriend who is upset. Like, I could do without old timey lesbians. Like, I'm done with the glances. I'm over it. She's obsessed with attention. She was like,
this must have been like crack.
It was like this one. She was like, oh my God. She was like, they're amazing. Like, you know what I mean? She's like, the looks, the everything. But to be fair, like we get the looks and we also get her like eating her out by the rocks. Like, I'm for this.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like they do this whole kind of like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, like the giant bonfire scene where they're like circling each other around the edges of this bonfire, and they're just like super smoldering eye contact, and they're like undressing each other with their eyes, and then they like run away into the woods and they're making out, and you're like, I'm here for it.
Yep.
And then like Sarah Fear's like getting up that skirt in like 2 seconds flat, and you're like, wow, hot damn girl, like get it. And
also, I know we're not like trying to discuss this too much, but that feels like it was not the first time, if that's where you're going.
They sure make it seem like it was the first time.
They make it seem
right?
like it was the first time, but like they started kissing and she's on the skirt. Like, I guess it's like probably for
some people are just naturals
for
Ellie,
the purpose of like shortness of the film. But it was like I would expect, a little more lead in.
I mean,
a little more.
She knows what she wants. I don't know.
So. Yeah.
So also I realized in my haste to get to the lesbians, I missed an important plot detail, which is they get those hallucinogenic berries from the widow. The widow.
Yes.
And they go see the widow and she has these berries, but also while they're like rifling through her shit, she has this real fun like, DIY devil ritual book, like selling your soul to the devil for dummies, just chilling in her
Love
place. That Sam like flips through and she's like, well, this doesn't look good. And that will be important later because what ends up happening is despite their super cute, blossoming romance, they wake up the next morning to not the greatest day in the town of Union. So Hannah shows up to get Sarah because she's like, whoa, something's wrong with my dad. And they go and like Pastor Miller is just in the back room, like muttering to himself under his breath and like looking real creepy and scary. And I think, what does Hannah say? She's like, it's like something crawled in the night and like is wearing him like a suit.
Skin, yeah, like a big skin suit, basically.
Something is weird and they all know it, right? And of course, like, these two little baby dykes, and they're just like, is it us because we're gay? Oh no, which like, we will dig into this whole plot point. But basically, like, everything starts to go wrong in Union. Like, all their food is rotting, like, the animals are all dying, the pig just ate all the piglets, like, everything is shit. Everything is bad, and everyone is like, what is going on? And it goes from bad to worse real fast because, oops, Skin Suit Miller locked himself in the church with all of the kids and like ripped everyone's eyeballs out, and it's real bad. It's real bad.
It's a low point for us.
It was not great. Not great, Bob. And so everyone is like, well, this isn't great. So Pastor Miller, Solomon Good ends up killing Pastor Miller and all this stuff, but then somebody has to be blamed. And so they have this whole like town hall meeting where everyone is like screaming and yelling about like the Bible and sin and the devil has come to Union and all this stuff. And of course, who does everyone blame?
The lesbians.
The lesbians. They blame the lesbians. They're like, round up those witches. We're gonna hang them all and then everything will get better. And so Sarah and Hannah try to run. Hannah falls and is like, go on without me. So she gets captured. Sarah keeps running and ends up like running and deciding that she's gonna run back to try to steal the widow's picture book of the devil to make a deal with the devil to save them. And she's like, if they want a witch, I'll give them a witch. She goes to find that book, but there is A, no book, and B, a very dead widow. And so instead, she ends up running to the nearest safe haven for her, which is Solomon Good.
Dun,
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 dun, dun. Solomon Good, who actually, did make a deal with the devil and then ends up, like, attacking Sarah, hacking her hand off, and then, like, handing her straight over to the townspeople, being like, whoops, found a witch, better hang her fast, do it now.
It was definitely
quick.
Her.
Kill.
And he did all this because he loves her, though. Forget about that, Lee. I know. I'm saying how disgusting this man. But I love you, Sarah, as like cut off your hand.
Yeah. It's real gory. It's real bad. They're about to hang Sarah and Hannah both, and they're like, confess your sins, confess. And
sacrificial lesbian.
Yep. Sarah Fear, you bastard, is like, I confess, I made a deal with the devil, I sold my soul to Satan, I seduced Hannah, I clouded her mind, it's all my fault, she did nothing, and
I know.
Okay, so she gets hanged, it's real bad, everyone's very sad, like her friends and Hannah, no one else in town is real sad about it, because they're like, witch.
Not, yeah.
And then, so we flash forward to back to 1994, where Sam is realizing, like, oh, damn, this is what happened. And so they decide to set a trap for Sheriff Good. They're, like, trying to use, like, Sam's blood to set all these traps. And they, like, do this whole thing at the mall where they're, like, luring the ghosts in to kill him. And I care about this part less. So, like, they kill Sheriff Good and the curse. And, like, it's fine. Let's talk about lesbians.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, let's talk about the big reveal is like that. To be clear, Solomon Good made a deal with the devil, which means that every single good firstborn son needs to sacrifice a shady cider
ciders.
to keep the devil happy, and they've been doing it for 300 years. They have been just murdering shady ciders in the name of keeping the peace in Sunnyvale. They just kill shady ciders.
And
yeah.
listen. Here's why I am obsessed with this trilogy, okay? Because anyone who has like read any R.L. Stine or who has watched any horror movies or like any of this genre of stuff, it is not a huge surprise when you learn that like, oh, Sheriff Good is actually not good. Like, you know that's coming. Everyone knows that's coming, right? But you don't know how. And what I love about this movie is that to me, the reveal of this movie could be boiled down to every shady cider being like, why is our town cursed? And you're like, because your ancestors were homophobes. And like, how fucking beautiful of a reveal is that?
Yep.
Like, it's not even just like, oh, the real bad guy wasn't Sarah Fear the whole time. What? It's like, no, literally the entire, like, your town, every generation after generation, like, teenager after teenager and murder after murder. All of this happened. Why? Because puritanical homophobia.
Yep.
And I'm like, I love it so much.
I live for it. Well, no, it's also
I want to like just swim in a pool of that message forever. Just forever. That's all I want.
Well, it's also just
I
like
love
the reveal of Sarah Fear as a lesbian, where you're just like, of fucking course. Okay, so it's right. It's men blaming lesbians, but it's also just like men blaming women, right? So it's like for the whole thing too, you are just buying into the fact that this witch cursed, right? Because that's how it works, right? Oh, witches, they do curses, right? So I also find it fascinating the way that the audience now reacts to Fear Street, because I also think it's a commentary on the shady ciders and Sunnyvalers, but it's a commentary on people now as well, right? Because if you're that surprised that Nick Good was the evil one all along, then that says more about you than it does about the trilogy, right? Like,
yes.
If you're like, how could that have happened? But like when you see that and you're like, oh yeah, I actually hated him in 1978. He sucked. You're like, oh, because this. But there's so many people. I'm like, if we want to get into Twitter discourse, but like there's so many people on social media, on freaking Tumblr, whatever, who ship Ziggy and Nick Good. Okay? So Nick, who tried
jail, Nick, straight to jail.
Nick Good, who he killed everyone in the massacre.
Yeah.
He was the one who killed everyone in the massacre. Like, okay, he didn't hold the axe. He put Tommy's name on there, and everyone who died, it was because of Nick Good. And people are like, oh, but Nick and Ziggy were so cute together. And I just don't really like Dina and Sam together. You are telling on yourself. Like, you are, and you are messed up.
Tell me you're homophobic without telling me you're homophobic.
But like, literally, it's insane. And they also, sorry to go, but this is a really important thing that I want to talk about with this movie. So they go even further to a lot of people on social media. They say, oh, they don't like Dina and Sam. Number one, they're like, oh, they don't have that much chemistry. I just don't buy it, blah, blah, blah. That I can like maybe be like, opinion, whatever. The thing that gets me is that they blame Dina and Sam for Kate and Simon's murders. And the entire point of 1666 is that Hannah and Sarah were blamed for all of the murders that Cyrus did, the pastor, like technically did, right? If you wanted to be like, let's not pretend, if we didn't know that Nick Good was, or Solomon Good was orchestrating this, but that Solomon Good did. And you're going to blame the lesbians because they didn't kill Sam fast enough for you, but you're not going to blame the person who literally brought the murderers out to kill. It's
ridiculous.
Insane.
Ridiculous.
It's insane.
Well, and here's the thing too, because here's why I love it. I know you and I tend to fall a little more on the same camp on this, Ellie, where like the whole like old-timey lesbians thing. Like, yes, I'm a little also over it. Like, give me some modern day lesbian stories, queer stories. It's not that I don't like the old-timey stuff. I do like, everyone likes pining, everyone likes angst. It's good all around. But here's why we get tired of those stories, is because they end the way that Sarah and Hannah end. Where like because the only thing that I did is I like went back and like tried to, because I watched the movies a few weeks ago, we decided to do this. I had taken 0 notes, and so I went back to watch some of 1666 and like kind of skipped through, and I got to that scene where they hang Sarah Fier, which like, oof, it is rough. It is, and I still like, part of me enjoys it in hindsight, like knowing what is happening. But like, there's this one shot after she dies on the rope where everyone else has left, and all you see is Sarah hanging and Hannah kneeling, broken on the ground, staring up at the dead body of her like one single night love, right? Yep. And I'm just like, every queer person who watches this, and when we watch so many of these movies, that like, it just like hollows you out, because that's how those stories ended. That's how like, and like, yes, we can get into the like, historically, like plenty of queer people lived happy, fulfilling like lives together throughout history. Yes. Do we ever see them in Hollywood? No.
But
no,
to be fair,
we do not.
The thing that is, I think, good about this is like you're saying, okay, yes, those stories usually end this way. But with this trilogy, we get this like reincarnation where it's like, okay, so yes, Sarah and Hannah's story ended this way, but here's how Dina and Sam's story is going to go, because they live in a different time and they can survive.
And that's why, listen, accents aside, all of that, it's why I think the dual casting was so important in this series, because that's what it does. It allows Sarah and Hannah to get to live again, to get that second chance, even though consciously, you know, and they keep showing you like the other actress who like is Sarah Fier, and they keep showing you her face, and they like show you her dying as well. And so like, you know, you understand that like Dina and Sam are not Sarah and Hannah.
Yes.
But because of the casting, that's what you get to see, is the story that they never got to have through Dina and Sam. And it's brilliant. It's so fucking brilliant to like take what is a bury your gaze, right? What is a horrible, sad, depressing, ends in death story of old-timey lesbians, and to take those same actresses and say, but now here they are back on that rock, and like, okay, you don't get to see them rail each other this time, but like, you know what they're doing.
I mean,
but you get to see them be happy, and you know that like, this is just the beginning of their story. And I just want to scream about this movie forever. Like,
wait,
forever.
Also, you know what I just realized, which I should have realized before. All of Sarah Fier's friends take her body and move it to the place where she ate Hannah out. Right?
Yes. Yes.
I like just realized it's the same place.
They're like, where should we bury her? And Hannah's like, I have an idea.
And Hannah's like, this is the best place to bury her body. This is where she would want to live forever.
And they're like, why? And she's like, no reason.
No reason. She just liked this rock.
This was just our boning rock. Please bury her here.
That is literally amazing.
No, well, okay, wait. Sorry, just while I'm thinking of it real quick, can we also discuss the like hashtag relatable content of giant old lesbian Sarah Fier, who is like, I touched a boob one time, and like, did I ever live before tonight? And you're like, accurate,
no.
Fair.
I mean, to be fair, you haven't.
Fair. We've all been there, Sarah. We get it.
Yes.
Like, it's fine.
Yes. Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Dina and Sam's love story. As we're saying, like, we're sort of skipping to the end of their love story at 1666, right?
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed, just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/lezhangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/lezhangout.
Let's hang out.
For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know you had a lot of thoughts. Tell me your thoughts about Dina and Sam's love story.
Listen, I love all the lesbians in this. I love them all. They're so relatable. Like, I love angsty, broken up Dina being like, I'm so over Sam. I'm going to make a box of all of our stuff and the mixtape I made her, and I'm going to give it back to her at the football game, because it is like so every high school lesbian, right?
Like, so dramatic too, of like,
yes,
let me do it in the place that's like, she can't escape me. Like, I'm here and I'm going to like give it to her, and I'm going to see her face when she takes this box, and she's going to be sorry she ever left me. You're like, oh my God,
I love
Dina,
it.
calm down.
I love it. But then also, like, the second that she's like in danger at all, she's like, I would die for you. And you're like, okay, there it is.
Yep.
There it is. And she will do anything, any lengths, whatever it takes. Like, she is going to let no harm come to Sam. And like, I just love her. I love Dina so much. She is so, I think, like, super relatable content for so many queer people to just be like, look at this, like, stupid, chivalrous lesbian who is also, like, the angstiest, most overly dramatic, like, emo thing on the planet. And you're like, yep.
The entire trilogy is literally just, like, people were also cracking me up on Twitter where they're like, how can you even like Sam? She was possessed for like half of the, like, you don't even know who she is. Like, what's her personality? But basically, like, half of the movie series, at least, is, like you said, like, is just Dina being like, I will not let the love of my life die. I will.
They're like 16 years old, and you're like, yes,
and you're like,
fine.
yeah, I buy
you're getting
I buy
married.
In. I buy in. Like, I will chain her up so that her possessed person doesn't try to kill me, but like, I will figure out how to get you back. When at the end of 1994, they have this really cute scene where they're like both in bed and they're kissing and being cute, and she gives her the mixtape, right? And she's like, I knew you always loved me, blah, blah, blah. And then Dina goes on the phone, right? And Sam comes and stabs her, right? And you barely can tell that she's been stabbed. Like, I don't feel like she actually is hurting from the stab wound. She's just sad that her girlfriend is not herself.
She's like, knife sticking out of her stomach. She's like, baby, are you okay?
Like, literally, though.
Are you feeling okay? Do you want some tea?
That's how she is. Like, she really is, though. Like, I was like, did she get stabbed? Because she was just like, wait, are you okay? Like,
it's so true, though. It's so real.
Are you okay, Dina? Like, are you okay? And like, that's the parallels between Dina and Sarah Fier, right? As like this like sacrificial lesbian, right? Of like, I will sacrifice anything for this other person. I do hope, because I feel like we don't really get to see this that often in the trilogies because Dina is so selfless towards Sam. I do hope that like long-term Sam is also that for Dina, because we don't really get to see that. And I feel like you could debate like, is Dina too self-sacrificing for Sam, which is what her friends were seeing, but she loves her.
Listen, I don't need to be the shipper who's like, they have to get married and have a family and spend the rest of their lives together. I'm just the shipper who is like, I love these like absolute idiots. I love them. You are what, 16, 17, stupid in love, and I am here for it. And that's all I need.
Also,
that's
in
all
terms of lesbian representation, I obviously like I want to talk about barrier gays because obviously Sarah Fier dies. However, we do have two leads, Dina and Sam, who are in every single trilogy. They are the stars of the show, and they don't die. And that, in a horror film, is very important for queer rep.
This also might be a good segue for me to the next thing that I would like to talk about, because I think you're hitting on a very important thing that also ties closely to another thing that I feel very strongly about in this trilogy series, which is my other favorite giant lesbian, Cindy Berman.
I knew you were going to transition into Cindy Berman, and I didn't know.
Of course I am.
I didn't know how, but I knew it was coming. All right, so what do you want to say? Talk
you
to me.
handed this to me on a platter, and here's why. Because I think you have a very important point, which is that you are correct. The main characters of this entire trilogy are lesbians. And I think that is on purpose, and it is why I will absolutely die on the hill of Cindy Berman as a lesbian, okay? And here's why. Because I understand the shock factor 78 twist of like, all you know is C. Berman, you meet Ziggy Berman and Cindy Berman, and the whole movie is basically told from the perspective of Cindy, and we know C. Berman survives the night. And so you go the whole movie being like, Cindy Berman, oh, it's so sad that Ziggy's gonna die. That's what's so sad. Oh no, what's gonna happen? I'm so on the edge of my seat waiting to see how Ziggy dies. And then the twist at the end is Cindy dies and Ziggy survives. Christine Berman was the C. Berman that lived. And like, fine, I get that twist. But here's the thing. The main character of that movie is Cindy. And I refuse to believe that in this trilogy, they made one of the movies where the main character is not a lesbian. I think there are too many obvious parallels between Sam and Dina's story to Cindy's
and Alice's
story, where like same thing. You have one of them who is like, I'm going to get out. I'm going to be the perfect like poster child. I'm going to be like the valedictorian, and I'm going to do all the right things, and I'm going to make all the right choices, and I'm going to get out of shady side. I'm going to do that by repressing parts of myself that are less than desirable, yes. Right? And also because it requires them to do some things that the one thing I will gloss over in this movie and just be like, it's fine, is the obvious plot hole of like, we are supposed to believe that Ziggy relays this whole story of things that Cindy saw in the caves and experienced with Alice, and they are the only two people who saw the wall, who saw the heart, who saw the whole cave structure, and like she tells that whole story to Dina and Josh, even though
she wasn't there at all.
Cindy and Alice both died, and she wasn't there in any way. So I'm like, there has to be more of a reason to me other than just the like shock plot twist at the end that they chose to make the movie about Cindy, and it is because she's a lesbian.
I'm very much here for that because I was watching 1978 and I was like, oh, this should be gayer because I just had sat through a super gay movie. But if you look at it through the lens of Cindy as a lesbian, then 1978 is a super gay.
It's a super gay movie.
Also, if you want to talk about
they all are
gay tropes, right? You have Cindy and Alice, who used to be best friends, had a huge falling out, which is like, okay, best friend breakups are a very, very gay thing because that relationship was so intense. Think about April and Sterling, like the best friend breakups. There's obviously
and doesn't she say at
feelings.
One point, like, doesn't Cindy say at one point that she like specifically calls out how she wanted to like distance from like all of the kind of shady side things, and she like specifically says like staying away from Alice.
Yep.
Like, that was, like, a big thing for her. She's like, I had to stay away from you to get out of here.
Yep. Because,
like, please.
Also,
please.
Like, not to be stereotypical, we know what Alice looks like. Like, she's a lesbian.
Well, and she's got the classic, well, yeah, I mean, for sure. Alice, 100%. I could get disaster bye vibes from Alice.
For sure.
I will give her that. Because she does seem to love Arnie. Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
But, like, let's talk about Cindy and Tommy, right? Like, oh, I'm just the perfect, like, A+ student who's, like, the camp counselor, and I do everything right, and I have the perfect boyfriend who every time he tries to touch me, I am like, please don't ever touch me. Yeah.
Because I have to be pure and virginal. And it's like, okay, also probably you do not like him touching you. Like,
yes, and every time anyone asks her, like, why did you like Tommy? And she's like, I don't know, he's sweet, I guess.
Yeah, like, there is no substance to her feelings for Tommy. And I feel like it also is like, it is so easy to be sweet and virginal when you are a lesbian. Like, it's so easy to be a virgin in high
Yes.
school when you are gay and suppressing it. Like, it's very easy. Speaking from
And
experience.
she so
Speaking from experience. It is very easy.
is.
Very easy
But, like,
to not give in to
the-
temptation because there's literally no temptation.
The whole core of this trilogy series is homophobia.
Yes.
Like, internalized homophobia, external town homophobia. Like, this is a series about homophobia and how it destroys queer people's lives. And I refuse, I would die on this hill. Cindy Berman is that representation in 1978. That is the movie that happens. It is why it is her story. It is why she's the main character. It is why we learn the things about her that we learn in the way that we learn them in that movie. Big old dyke.
I'm here for it. I think you're 100% accurate. Yeah. There's no argument for me there.
Of course not.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, Cindy Berman also makes me really sad that her and Alice didn't make it because I really felt like they could have had a nice little thing together if they got out of there.
Oh, wait, sorry. That just also reminded me of the whole scene where like Alice dies too and like Cindy's reaction, right?
Rough.
Like,
yeah, she was in love with Alice.
I'm sorry. She was in love with Alice. Like that whole story of how she's like, oh my God, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could hurt Tommy. I don't know what to do. How will we survive this? I'm so helpless. And then it's like the second, like Alice is hurt and in danger. And she's like, bitch, I am going to kill everyone and anyone who gets in my way.
Yep.
And like, I'm going to save you and we're going to do it. And then we're hugging and I'm so happy. And like, oh my God, no, you got like attacked. Like, stay with me. Don't leave me. And you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, it hurts.
That, dear listeners, is a lesbian. That right there. That's what that is.
Straight up lesbian. Let's talk a little bit. I know we're bouncing around a bit. I want to talk about what we have always said, which is magic is inherently gay, right? So I feel like I should have known earlier that the witch was a lesbian. How did I miss it? Of like, oh, witch, gay, probably, right? Like we should have known.
Here's why. Because every queer person who watches this trilogy, let's talk about the I hate Sarah Fear, why is she attacking our beautiful lesbians, to I would commit murder for Sarah Fear pipeline.
Yep.
Because that's why. Because we get tricked away from our own like innate knowledge that like witches are always going to be gay by the fact that we think Sarah Fear is attacking our lesbians. And so we're like, she must be like a bad witch somehow. I don't know, but boo, Sarah Fear. And then the second that you see Sarah Fear lock eyes with Hannah Miller, you're like, what is happening? And like, I would die for Sarah Fear.
So true. And also, I'm like, if we're talking about, oh my God, this series is blowing my mind right now.
Come on, get here with me, Ellie. Yes, exist in this space with me.
Homophobia in general. Also, I feel like then you can also be like, it's like this infighting within our community where you like, yeah, because Sarah Fear, quote unquote, you think is hurting your community and you don't realize she's actually a part of our community. But then when you realize that she's one of us, it changes everything.
It changes everything.
Wild.
Mind blown.
Wild.
This trilogy is a masterpiece.
It really just like it's deep. It's got a lot of substance.
It really does. And
terrifying like slasher film series.
Like, listen, we just talked again about how my dream is to, like, experience the people who got sucked into Teenage Bounty Hunters, and then we're like, what? Lesbians? Wait a second. I just want to watch, like, straight people who were like, I'm a big horror fan, or I love R.L. Stine. I want to watch them watch this, and I want to, like, know people's thought process on like their realization of like, oh, it was homophobia all along.
I don't necessarily know if that like I know some people are coming to that realization, but I also feel like just to see some of the discourse online, I still feel like people didn't get it.
How do you miss that? How do you see Mad Thomas being like, sinners, sinners, at Sarah and Hannah kissing and being like, sinners, witches, hang the witch, and not realize what was the problem? The problem was there was no thought, there was no logic, there was no investigation, there was nothing but knee-jerk, immediate homophobia. And that is why every single shady cider has lived with this curse for 300 years. 300 years of nobody willing to examine the quick, immediate decision to toss a lesbian under the bus.
And also,
how do you miss that? How would anyone miss that?
were the ones who had to save you. Like, you literally would not have been saved without the lesbians.
Without all of the lesbians, because it's not even just that Sam and Dina save them. It's that Sarah Fear refused to let the goods do this. She would, like, that whole speech where she's like, I will, like, follow you and the truth will come out and, like, you can't hide because I will shadow you. And, like, she's just, like, silently growing her moss patch over the centuries so that more and more people might see the truth. And the only way to break the curse is to see the reality and experience life through the eyes of a lesbian.
Yep.
What?
It's beautiful.
Come on. Like, come on. I can't. It's too good.
Also, there's so many things. I always, every time I watch any sort of thing, I'm like, I have to go to Twitter and see what people are saying. But I was cracking up at some of the things people were saying, though, where they were like, well, her visions were not very helpful. Like, to be fair, the reason
she's like, here's me screaming covered in blood with no hand. And you're like, maybe like a better hint.
Yeah. Maybe like, why couldn't we like have seen Solomon Good in these? Like, you know, but I guess it was because they needed to
4 syllables sounds like.
Yeah. She's like, the truth will haunt you, but I don't know exactly how to tell the truth to these people.
Well, listen, she wasn't really a witch. Maybe it's like complicated. She didn't have like a spell book.
Or like, you couldn't have shown like the scene by the rocks. Like, everyone's like, whoa, Sarah Fear was real gay. Like,
they're like, wait a minute, I touched this moss with like blood on my hands and suddenly I was watching lesbian sex.
A porn. How'd this happen? But yeah, I mean, obviously, once the hands reunited, then we see everything. Blah, blah, blah. But it is like this entire...
They're like, did she have a hand under that skirt? I couldn't tell. I don't know.
Yeah. Did she ever have a hand? We'll never know. Literally crazy. I mean, in terms of representation, we do get multiple sex scenes, which I'm always here for. We get sex scene with Dina and Sam. We get sex scene with Dina and Sam 2.0 / Sarah and Hannah. We don't necessarily get lesbian sex in 1978, but like whatever happened in those caves, we'll never know.
No, we definitely get gross hetero sex in 1978, and I'm not here for it.
We're not here for that. It was the 70s, but still.
We actually get a lot of gross hetero sex.
Yeah,
because we get Alice and Arnie, and then we also get like the other counselor. Who is he?
Well, also I was confused. Wasn't that Nick Good's brother?
Yeah, the older brother and the girl who tried to hang Ziggy at the beginning.
So
we get like
very confusing plot hole. If he's the older brother, then Nick should not have been the one who was sacrificing people. The oldest
does it
son.
have to be? Is it the oldest son?
Yeah, it's always.
I don't think so, because Solomon wasn't the oldest.
How do you know?
Because he had an older brother.
It was very confusing. I swear to God, they said that.
Well, we'll have to watch it again, Ellie. Oh,
for the plot holes.
Ellie's never gonna sleep again.
No, I won't. I haven't been sleeping very well since I saw it, to be honest. What else? What else do we want to talk about with this film? Anything else?
I don't know. I just love it. I'm obsessed with all of it. I think it's great. I think it is a brilliant, like, really, really smart, like, thoughtful, like, I don't know. It's so interesting to me to watch this having experienced as much queer media as we have, because it just feels like it turns so many things on their heads, and like in really like clever, nuanced ways that I'm like, every time I think about more like parts of it, I'm like, wow, I love it. I love it even more. Like every new thing that I think of, it's so
It hits
good. It's so good. Wait, I want to talk about two things, which are just my two lesbian rabbit holes. One of which is that not only am I going to die on the hill that Cindy Berman is a giant lesbian, but the other person who will be on that hill with me fighting to the death, unsurprisingly, just like Cindy, like tried to save Ziggy to the end. Emily Rudd, who is the actress who plays Cindy Berman, is also obsessed with how much Cindy is a lesbian and seems to spend all of her days like retweeting and liking or sharing theories or posts or like fan vids or whatever of how gay Cindy is, and I love it.
We are always here for an actor who like also thinks their character is gay.
Yes.
So here
and
for
especially
it.
when there's like nothing canonically like confirmed, but
to
it's
be
just,
fair, like
of course she's gay.
Of course she is. Yeah, nothing canonically except her entire relationship with Alice.
Love it. The other thing that I think we should talk about as a quick lesbian rabbit hole is how Kiana Madeira, who plays Dina and Sarah Fear, at that actress, you could go and find in like way old school Barbell, which like A+. We love some lesbian rabbit holes.
So many, very few degrees of separation between us and Sarah Fear. 1 degree of separation.
So true.
Amazing. All right, so we've decided the Fear Street trilogy, worth watching if you have not seen it yet. I don't really like scary movies. I loved it. I put myself through the anxiety to experience the joy of this lesbian love story, so you can do it too.
And was I right, Ellie?
You
was
were
it worth
correct.
It?
You were very correct.
It was so worth it.
So you need to check it out. It's time for our Q and Gay. Are we ready?
I'm so ready.
Q and gay.
Okay, Ellie, question 1. What is your favorite of the Fear Street movies? A, 1994, B, 1978, or C, 1666?
1666. Even though I'm like, old-timey lesbians, it pulled it all together so perfectly. It was a great finale.
Love it.
All right, question 2, Lee. Who would you rather be killed by? A, the Milkman, B, Ruby Lane, C, Nightwing, or D, Skull Mask?
Listen, I have to go with Ruby.
I
mean,
knew you would.
if you're gonna be murdered, it might as well be by like someone who's hot and singing at you. Like, why not?
Agreed.
Question 3, Ellie. Who is gayer? A, Cindy and Alice, B, Dina and Sam, or C, Hannah and Sarah?
Okay, this is a very difficult question. I feel like I'm gonna go with Hannah and Sarah because that shit was intense. So short, and she would literally die for her.
But also, like, what is gayer than being like, I touched your boob once, I would, like, bring the earth to its knees for you, and I never lived before today, I will die for you. Yeah, pretty gay.
Yeah, very gay. Oh, it's my turn. I'm sorry, I was just thinking about Hannah and Sarah on the rock. All right, question number 4. Are you an A, Shady Cider, or B, Sunnyvale?
Shady Side!
Shady
Come
Side.
on!
Fuck Sunnyvale.
Do you mean the home of the gays? I'm a Shady Cider.
Of course. Of course you are.
Okay, question 5, Ellie. The real question here. Would you make a deal with the devil? A, yes. B, no. Or C, depends on what I would get.
It's definitely a C for me. Depends on what I would get. There was there was a running joke when we were in New York that I already have made a deal with the devil. Do you remember this?
Vaguely, yes.
I don't remember why I even said it just to begin with, but I did say it, and then like weird shit kept happening where like things would really fall into place for me. And Valerie and Caitlin were like, Ellie, what the fuck? They were like, have you? I was like, no, never.
So what would you do? Is there like a threshold? Like what would you do it for?
I feel like I would make a deal with the devil. I guess. Do I relate to Nick Good? No. However, I can understand making a deal with the devil to take care of your family and make sure that they're okay for the rest of eternity, right?
To be fair, he didn't even have a family. Like, they died.
Nick?
No, Solomon.
Oh, Solomon. Yeah, but his was like about legacy, right? Like,
I feel like it was stupider than that even. I feel like he was like, oh, we think this land is fertile, but my brother wants me to move back to town. So, like, instead, I will sell my soul to the devil and, like, just sacrifice, like, hundreds and hundreds of people so that, like, I can build a little town here.
yeah, no.
Which, like, is even stupider.
The way that he did it, I agree. Like, even I was like, really? That's all you got for the deal? But yeah, I'd probably want to be like very successful, lots of money, on Broadway. And yeah, I'd be able to buy my mom a house. That's when I say take care of
Okay,
her.
but Ellie, do you have to make a deal with the devil for that? Or, like, do you just make a deal with a lesbian like me and we just, like, build this empire?
Exactly. So I already have made a deal.
Definitely always choose the deal with the lesbian.
Okay, the better question should be, would you make a deal with the devil or a lesbian?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Always the lesbian.
There are things that I want in this life that I would do a lot for, but I don't know if I would kill a bunch of people. So help us, help me achieve my goals, friends, so I don't have to make a deal with the devil. Remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at LezHangoutPod.
And don't forget to stick around to the end of the episode to hear our original Lez-ssentials song, Run for Your Life.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from you and building community, so we want to shout out some of our favorite things each episode. And I would like to give a huge shout out to all of the people that we saw at Klexicon. Lee, you were missed. Everyone came up and said,
I missed you all too.
Ellie, we love you, but where's Lee? They were all waiting for you. And I was like, I'm here, but they didn't care. They just
know how to make me feel better.
They just wanted to see the most famous Let's Hang Out host. It's okay. But I want to give a shout out to some very specific people. I want to give a shout out to Fiona and Ames, who are two of our patrons who we met there. Also, Amy and Ellen, who we have seen every single year, and I love seeing them.
Yeah, wait, I'll give my own shout out to Ellen, who literally messaged me to tell me how much I was missed at ClexCon while you were all there. So shout out to Amy and Ellen. You know, we love you.
We love you so much.
I'm sorry I wasn't there. I missed you. I missed you all.
I know. I also met a very cool person, Lena, who is working on a podcast all about climate change, and we had a nice chat. They're also a big fan of the show, so I want to shout you out as well. Also, our new friends from Out in Love, which is a new web series that it's not out yet, but it will be out eventually, and you need to check it out. Queer Field Day, and also another podcast called Never Normal. We made so many cool friends, and it's always so nice to see all of you, even though it was a nice, more intimate time this time. We got to make a lot of cool friends, so I want to shout all of you out who are listening.
And as always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Jess Klaus,
Tanya Ferguson,
Jacqueline Rosashino,
Sarah and Julia,
Carrie Ann Lawrence,
Danny Gunlock Tamora,
Brittany Ray,
Alana Rosen,
Lizette Stye,
Stacy,
Adi Benitez,
and Fiona W.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Leah Hendley,
Liz Chen,
and Julia Gonzalez. Thank you all so much. As we say all the time, we could not keep doing this podcast without all of you and all of our patrons, and you're just all the best.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up every week.
Also, you can subscribe to The Flame on any podcasting app as well. We have a lot of new listeners this week, so we want to have even more of you checking it out.
Also, we still have a YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, you can find it at youtube.com/LezHangoutPod.
If you want to support the podcast, the easiest way to do that is to rate and review us on iTunes. We love hearing what you have to say.
If you want to support us financially, you can find our Patreon at bit.ly/LezPatreon. It's the best way to help support us and help us continue to make this podcast, and we get so many cool things for you when you join, not the least of which is access to our Discord server, which is just the best place. But we also have a ton of other fun things, like, for example, coming up on our first watch party for our Lez-ssentials that you will not want to miss. So again, bit.ly/LezPatreon.
If you want to support The Flame, you can do that at bit.ly/theflame Patreon. We still have a lot of big goals for the show, including writing an entirely new musical and flying our cast to New York for a live show in August. So we need all the support we can get at bit.ly/theflame Patreon.
If you want to buy some Les Hangout or The Flame merch, you can find all of our designs at our TeePublic. You can get them on shirts and sweatshirts and mugs and masks and all sorts of things. You can find it at bit.ly/LesShop.
If you want to find us individually, you can find me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Well, it's just another day here in the city where you never win and you cannot escape it when the enemy is closing in. A shadow in the night that might be right behind you, and a voice inside your mind that's trying to inspire you to take a life. Better sharpen your knife, 'cause it's happening again just like it happened in the past, and there has to be a way to break free at last. I'm hung up on your lies, but the truth will find you, 'cause the witch is coming out tonight. Run for your life. Well, it's just another summer getting ready for a war, and there are days you start to wonder what you're even fighting for. You follow all the rules, you do what you're supposed to, and you push away the truth, refusing what you know is waiting in the dark. What you feel in your heart, 'cause it's happening again just like it happened in the past, and there has to be a way to break free at last. I'm hung up on your lies, but the truth will find you, 'cause the witch is coming out tonight. Run for your life. Well, it's just another morning in a decent little town. Will you be just another story buried deep beneath the ground? A blanket of despair you carry on your shoulders, and a whisper of a prayer I swear that we are living on. A promised land if you reach out your hand. If you need a special code to be a hero, there are secrets I can teach you that will rearrange your fear. Open your eyes and see. If you take a look, that could only exist inside of picture books. But when evil's free, the truth can't hide. We're gonna make you feel it where the sun don't shine. 'Cause it's happening again just like it happened in the past, and there has to be a way to break free at last. I'm hung up on your lies, but the truth will find you, 'cause the witch is coming out tonight. I said the witch is coming out tonight. Run for your life.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast, and with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.